Alright, so we are live today. This is Vindicast number 26. I wanted to dig into the Liquid Hero replay pack that he put up recently. And I was checking through it yesterday before when I was deciding I was going to do this cast today. And I saw a couple of games that I really want to get into. So without further ado, let us open up that pack. I am just not necessarily all there right now. Liquid Hero is actually one of my favorite Protoss players ever. I really like the way that he plays, and one of the reasons why is because he doesn't play like one particular style. He has all sorts of little things that he does that not a lot of other Protoss players really incorporated into their play. He was one of the first Protoss I saw that really utilized Warp Prisms heavily. He utilizes things like Storm drops, Colossus drops, all sorts of interesting things like that. So from a spectator's perspective, he is really just one of the most entertaining Protoss players to see. So I'm going to start off first with a game between him and my other favorite player. This is my all-time favorite player, MarineKingPrime. And just because it's these two guys going against each other, I'm very confident that this will be a really good game to start off today's cast. I think I'm going to do 3 casts today. Obviously, I'm going to have to cut them up into like 3 different casts so that it's easier to upload them to YouTube, because like no one wants to see like the thing in its entirety. They just want to see like one game or something like that out of it. So here we go. Spawning down here in the bottom left position of the map, Antigua Shipyard. This is on ladder, so there is no cross spawn. We have our red Terran player, MarineKingPrime. And spawning over here in the bottom right position, we have our blue Protoss player, my favorite Protoss player, and my favorite player on Team Liquid currently. We have Liquid Hero. Okay, so this map actually should very heavily favor the way that Marine King likes to play. Marine King is a very aggressive Terran. He likes to do a lot of very early barracks timings as soon as medevacs come out, and the thing is that those barracks timings, even though they're pretty standard normally, because it's Marine King actually controlling the army, it's a lot more deadly than it would be if you or I, the URI Terran players, are actually utilizing the push. But Hero also has some very good control. And obviously the one thing about MarineKingPrime, these guys are bantering back and forth. I really wish I could read Korean so I could see what they're saying to each other. The thing about Marine King is that he is so well known for his aggression that when you're going up against this guy, you almost expect him to be really aggressive with you. So that will then lead you, in turn, to play very safe. But then also, Marine King doesn't exactly play safe himself when he's macroing. He takes all sorts of big economic risks, like dropping like very early command centers and all sorts of other things like that. So basically, Marine King's control allows him to get away with things that most Terran players wouldn't actually be able to get away with. This is one of the reasons why he is such a fan favorite from a spectator's perspective, but it's also one of the reasons why he is so successful and probably so frustrating to play against if you are a professional going up against him. But the same thing that I just said about Marine King can easily be said about Hero. He has a lot of really nice control with his units. He has a lot of really creative builds, and the thing is, because anybody that plays against Hero has to know that they're going up against some guy who's very well known for being aggressive, being creative with all sorts of different builds. He's not the kind of Protoss that's just going to sit in his base and build up to a very large unit count before moving out. I have to say that I think these positions are slightly favoring Marine King, because it's going to be very easy for him to actually like move all over the base positions here with drops. It's going to be a lot more difficult for Hero to actually defend against Marine King's attacks from these positions. These positions right here, I mean, you can easily jump from like the third to the main and back again. It's going to be very easy for Marine King to actually defend his third base. So we'll have to see how that exactly works out. Now, Marine King is actually opening with a 2-racks build. This is going to be a 2-racks with a tech lab and a reactor. So this is probably going to be a very early stim build. I don't think that we're going to see... we are going to see concussive shells out of him. Okay, so Marine King is going to be very aggressive to open this game up. Now, Hero is not actually going for this 1-gate Nexus because, like I said, he's in pretty close positions with a player that's known to be very aggressive, so he is getting out those 2 gates before actually dropping his Nexus. This will give him if he starts producing sentries like immediately, this will give him a lot more units that he would need to deal with the very early pressure that Marine King is going to be throwing at him. Now, Marine King is only going to be moving out with a very small number of units while he establishes his own expansion, probably, unless he's just going to go with a really big, like, all-in or something like that, which isn't usually the way that he plays. Not anymore, anyway. He used to do all sorts of things like this back in, like, Season 2 when he was first making his first GSL Finals run. Okay, so these units are going to run right into this probe. This probe is going to give Hero a lot of advanced warning that this push is indeed coming. Now, Warp Tech is not done yet, so the only thing that Hero is really going to have available for him are these sentries, but that is not going to do very much in protecting his Nexus from this early attack. So Marine King could actually deny this Nexus if he wants to. That probably should be what he's going for. Yeah, he's probably going to force a cancel on this Nexus. He is going to get a bunker down as well. So Hero is going to have to be forced to cancel this Nexus. I don't really think he can hold it. Warp Tech, though, is just about done, so he will actually be able to make a couple of Stalkers, or maybe a couple of Zealots actually hold this off, but he does force a cancel on that Nexus. There is no command center going down for Marine King, though, but that really was Hero's game plan right now, is going for that Nexus, and now Marine King is setting up a soft contain with this bunker, which is going to be a little difficult for Hero to deal with, but he is getting out this Immortal, and Immortals, as you all know, do a lot of damage to structure specifically, so he will have no problem with that. I really like how Marine King is using this one SCV to poke up the ramp, just so he doesn't get any of his own units trapped up there, and he is going to get this pylon by the looks of things, but this Immortal is going to come out, and that Immortal is going to definitely change the way that this game is going to be going right now. A single Marauder does move up the ramp, and it is killed very, very quickly. This is one of the things about Immortals, is that they do so much damage to armored units, so these Marauders only have 125 hit points, so these Immortals do 50 damage to armored, effectively three-shotting a Marauder. So Marine King has to be very, very careful about what he's going to have to be dealing with here with Hero's forces up at the top of this ramp. Hero is actually going for broke here. He's just going straight up to Colossus Tech. I don't think I have a problem with this decision at all. Marine King is being very, very annoying by having these group of units down here on the low ground. And even though Hero could destroy this army if it starts to fight on the ramp, if Marine King forces his opponent to come down onto the low ground, the presence of this bunker and the the wide open space that allows him to kite will allow him to destroy Hero's army if they go to the low ground. But Hero is not just going to deal with that. He is using this Warp Prism. This is what I meant about the way that Hero plays. Hero utilizes Warp Prisms in every single matchup. I love the way that he plays Protoss because he's always utilizing the very high micro-intensive unit that is the Warp Prism. And it does allow him to do things that he normally wouldn't be able to do, like break this contain and go straight for some aggression with these units. Now, there are some sentries in there. There are some Immortals in there. And Marine King is actually going to get all of his units actually force fielded down at the bottom of this ramp. This is what I'm talking about with Hero. Hero's able to do things like this. I mean, he does have these units out in front of his base, but because he has this Warp Prism, he's able to throw some counterattack on here. Now these units that were here from Marine King are not actually going to be able to join the units that he has out in front of Hero's base, and Hero is able to actually get out this Colossus, and the bio count is still very low. So this is such a crazy game that I'm actually watching right here. Both of these guys are forcing each other to remain on a single base, and actually now there's a Colossus down in the field. Marine King is trying to kill that Colossus. It does not look like he will be able to get it. And this is just really, really back and forth. Both players are just like hammering each other right now. Oh, that Colossus barely escapes with 9 hit points. But there is a Colossus out in the field now. Marine King does get the salvage up on that bunker, but now I think that the advantage lies a little bit with Hero here. Marine King is just now getting up this starport. He's gonna have to. He probably was gonna go for medevacs just because he knows that he damaged that Colossus so severely. There's an observer coming down in the field right now, and both players might be looking like they want to start going for their next expansions. Now, Marine King has had the second command center here, which means that even though it's been on a superior economy on one base thanks to the presence of this double orbital, it also means that he is definitely gonna have to leave this base quickly. He is already severely draining out the minerals that are at his base, and he needs these minerals. So here comes another Warp Prism. This one has a Colossus in it. This Colossus is actually going to come down, snipe an SCV, get picked back up again by this Warp Prism. This is the sort of thing that Hero does that makes him that makes me such a huge fan of the way that he plays Protoss. He is the only Protoss that I know that consistently does stuff like this. Okay, I think these Vikings actually might be able to take down, yeah, they're able to take down that Warp Prism. And are these going to lose the Vikings? Oh, no! no! Okay, so at least he gets the Colossus. So those Vikings were actually worth it. The Colossus is a 300, 200 unit. Those Vikings are a solid 150-75, so Marine King still gets out a little bit ahead, trading the 2 Vikings for the Warp Prism and the Colossus, but now we have a very large Gateway army, and when I say large, it's only 69 supply to 70 supply right now because these guys have been hammering away at each other so heavily throughout this game. The one thing is that Marine King does not have medevacs right now, so he has to be very, very careful about how he utilizes Stim. Now, I'm sure he knows that because he's so good at controlling these bio units, but the force fields from Hero are just really, really good, actually doing a lot of damage, allowing these elves to do a lot of damage to these bio units, and I think with the presence of the reinforcements here, alright, Marine King is being forced to pull SCVs, but a lot of damage has been done to him, and again, these guys are not letting each other macro very well. This is still a 69 supply to 53 supply game right now, and Hero is actually starting to take a very big supply deficit, but I wonder how much of that is actually in army. Yeah, his army supply now is down to just 7. These Stalkers are retreating back to their home base, and actually I think at this point with the SCVs being pulled in the presence of these Vikings down in battle mode, this is something I hardly ever see, is Vikings pushing in battle mode like this. I think, you know, I'm actually not really too sure